Have you ever had that feeling, that sort of pit in your stomach when you realize your personal data is out there? Not because of anything you did wrong, but because some company, well, they messed up.
Yeah.
And you're just left frustrated, trying to clean up the mess. It feels like in 2025, these data breaches, they're not occasional things anymore. They're just relentless.
Absolutely. And that feeling, that helplessness you're talking about,
Yeah.
that's really the core challenge we want to dig into today.
Right.
Because the way things are set up now, the victims of these breaches, they're often left completely alone to pick up the pieces. So our mission really for this deep dive is to look at the pretty critical flaws in how breaches are handled, especially here in the UK.
Okay.
And we want to unpack a fairly radical idea, a digital breach restitution framework. Think of it like a digital FSCS, something to actually support victims.
A digital FSCS. I like the sound of that.
Yeah, and this is all sparked by a really compelling article on monkeypaws.com. It's called Data Breach Today, Your Problem Tomorrow, Why Victims Deserve More Than Apologies.
Great title. Okay, so let's dive into that reality then. When it's your data, the impact, it's immediate, isn't it? And it feels really personal.
It really does.
It's not just some abstract news story. Suddenly it's, you might be locked out of crucial services.
Yeah.
Or find you're getting rejected for credit, or you have to go through hoops just to prove you are who you say you are, even if nothing in your life has changed.
So
it's isolating.
It is, and it feels profoundly unfair. The author of that Monkey Paws article, they share a really powerful personal story about exactly this.
Oh, really?
Yeah, after a third-party breach exposed their details, it took them, get this, over 18 months just to get back into their own government gateway account.
18 months. Wow.
18 months, which meant, they were locked out of HMRC Online, even the small claims court portal. Couldn't see official letters, couldn't verify their identity digitally for loads of things.
That's huge.
It is. And the company responsible, well, the article says they just carried on, but the individual, they were stuck dealing with all the fallout. It's a massive hidden cost, emotionally and practically.
And you just know that story isn't unique, is it? It's probably happening all the time.
Exactly.
When you see those data breach visualizations, like the one on informationisbeautiful.net, it's staggering. Billions of records lost. Healthcare, finance, telecoms.
It's mind-boggling.
And the article points out that even that chart, it's not fully up to date for 2025, so the real numbers are even worse. It really drives home that behind every single one of those data points, every little bubble on that graphic, there's a real person.
A real person experiencing this sort of ripple of consequences.
Yeah, that ripple. That's a good way to put it.
And, when a big breach hits the news, there's this familiar pattern, isn't there? Almost like a script.
Definitely.
You get the brief statement first, unusual activity detected.
Yep.
Then the confirmation. If it's a big enough company, the media goes wild for a bit. Then the ICO, at the Information Commissioner's Office, they start an investigation.
Right.
Eventually, maybe, a fine gets issued, and then it just goes quiet.
That's silence. That's the bit that gets me. After the initial flurry, it feels like the biggest letdown. The companies, they seem to recover, their share price bounces back maybe. But the victims, they're just left with, vague advice.
Exactly. Monitor your credit report, stay vigilant, that sort of thing.
It almost feels like, like theater. Is there ever a case where a company actually provides proper, immediate support beyond those standard lines?
Well, that's the million-dollar question, isn't it? And the article really suggests it's incredibly rare. The fundamental problem, like you say, isn't just the lack of direct help.
Yeah.
It's where the accountability ends up. Even if the ICO does fine them, and they sometimes issue quite large fines,
right,
that money, and this is crucial, it doesn't go to the people whose data was lost, whose lives are disrupted.
Where does it go then?
It just goes straight into the Treasury's coffers.
Seriously?
Oh.
So no help for the victims at all from that?
None. No restitution, no direct support funded by the fine. So, yeah, for the victims, it can feel like a pretty empty gesture.
Wow.
Take the example the article mentions, the Co-op Group update from July 2025. They finally confirmed, all 6.5 million members had personal data stolen.
All of them. 6.5 million.
All of them. And it took months for the full disclosure. And the public advice, just generic reassurances. Again, the responsibility, the vigilance, it's all pushed back onto the individuals. indefinitely.
It just makes you think about the costs that aren't being measured, doesn't it?
Totally.
You see reports like the IBM Ponemon one from 2024. It talks about the average cost to a company being what? Nearly $5 million?
Yeah, $4.88 million, I think it was. That covers their side, fixing systems, PR damage.
But what's completely missing from that number?
Exactly. The cost to the actual people.
The individuals.
Yeah, there's no line item for the hours you spend trying to get back into your accounts, the sheer anxiety of it all.
Right, the worry that your ID could be used for fraud next week or next year.
Or the impact on trying to get a job or a mortgage or insurance.
Yeah.
Or even just feeling safe. It's like the victims are just collateral damage, not people.
That's exactly the gap, isn't it? The human cost.
That's what the Mucky Paws article is really hammering home. And it leads to this really frustrating question.
Which is?
In 2025, right, we have multi-factor authentication. It's pretty standard now. We have free password managers. So why? Why are these basic security hygiene failures still happening, even at massive companies?
I know. It's baffling. The article brings up that McDonald's Mackire chatbot breach from earlier this year, right?
Yeah, that's a prime example.
A global brand.
Okay.
And the reasons behind it were, as the article puts it, painfully predictable.
Like what?
Things like default admin passwords still being used, no multi-factor authentication enabled, no geofencing, no proper monitoring for weird logins. It's just basic stuff.
It really is.
Yeah.
Basic blocking and tackling in security terms.
So was that just a technical oversight, or is it something, I don't know, deeper, more cultural?
That's a really key point the article makes. While, yes, it's basic hygiene, the failure in that McDonald's case, it arguably points to something more cultural.
How so?
Maybe inadequate training, or perhaps a lack of genuine investment in security beyond just, ticking compliance boxes.
Right.
When you think about it, businesses have been online since what, the mid-90s? That's over 30 years.
Plenty of time to learn these lessons.
You think so. But security training often still feels like just a tick box exercise, doesn't it? We even see proof of this at big security conferences like Black Hat. They run these social engineering contests.
Where they try to trick people.
Exactly. And they consistently show how easily even trained professionals can be manipulated. There's this tactic mentioned, playing background audio of a crying baby. Yeah, to create urgency, make the call handler stressed or sympathetic, more likely to bend the rules. It just shows it's often still easier to hack the person than the technology.
That's quite chilling. And yet, despite breach after breach, we're still relying on such outdated ways to check who someone is.
Absolutely.
Why are companies still asking for your date of birth? It's often all over social media. Or your mother's maiden name that's probably been leaked 10 times already.
It's madness, isn't it? These are static credentials. Once they're out forever. They're just not secure anymore, but they hang around like a bad smell.
And a massive weak link.
A huge point of vulnerability. And, this brings us neatly onto the so-called remedies that are often offered to victims.
Yes. Things like credit monitoring or putting a CFOS marker on your file.
Exactly. We need to really ask, how effective are these actually? Are they genuine support, or do they just shift the burden again?
Well, they often feel like another burden, to be honest. Take that CFS protective registration. Okay, it's meant to stop fraudsters opening accounts in your name.
Which sounds good in theory.
But in practice, it can just create hassle for you, the actual victim. The article shares this story, right? Someone with a CFS flag got automatically rejected online trying to sign up for broadband.
Just rejected outright.
Yeah, anything over 35 highs a month, apparently. Flat rejection, even though they had a perfect credit history otherwise.
So the protection becomes a penalty.
Exactly. It's a hurdle you have to overcome. And then apparently, they didn't even get a reminder when the flag was about to expire.
Oh, that's not helpful.
It's not protection, is it? It feels more like a punishment you didn't ask for.
It completely flips the purpose, turning a safeguard into this unexpected obstacle. And then you've got the whole credit monitoring industry.
Right. Which seems to be booming.
Absolutely booming. And often, these services are either upsold to victims or maybe funded for a short time by the very company that lost your data.
Yeah, you get like 12 months free.
Exactly. But the article makes a really good point. These are commercial products. They're not really support or recovery in a meaningful sense. And they're rarely free forever.
So you end up paying monthly just to feel a bit safer because someone else failed.
Yeah. When that happens, the system's fundamentally broken.
Okay, so if the current fixes aren't really fixing anything, what's the way forward? The article puts forward a big idea, doesn't it?
It does. The core proposal is this urgent need for what they call a digital breach restitution fund.
Okay.
A proper statutory framework, basically. They compare it to the Financial Services Compensation Scheme, the FSCS.
Ah, right, the FSCS that protects your savings if a bank goes bust.
Precisely. So a similar safety net, but for data breaches.
Okay, that sounds promising. What would that actually look like in practice?
Well, the article outlines a few key elements. First off, free credit monitoring for everyone affected by a breach, properly funded by the organization that was responsible.
Right, not just a temporary offer.
No, proper ongoing monitoring. Second, clear, fast-track ways for victims to recover access or fix problems. With actual human beings you can talk to and ways to escalate things if you're stuck in a loop.
Oh, human contact. Revolutionary.
Would that be nice? Third, mandatory levies on companies after a breach. The money collected would go into a national fund specifically to support victims.
Okay, so the money goes where it's needed.
Exactly. Fourth, much stronger transparency rules for companies. They'd have to clearly state what data was lost, how it happened, and what the real recovery plan looks like for individuals.
No more hiding behind vague statements.
Hopefully not. And finally, an independent oversight board. Someone would actually check if companies are responding properly and handling the restitution fairly.
That sounds comprehensive, and it links back to what you said earlier about the ICO fines, doesn't it?
It does. The article strongly argues that those fines should go directly to helping victims, not just vanish into the Treasury. It references another Mucky Paws piece saying fines aren't justice, they're just high-stakes monopoly money.
Monopoly money? Ouch. But true, if it doesn't help the people harmed.
Exactly. But it's not just about the money, is it? The article also calls for much broader systemic reform.
Okay, like what?
Well, fundamentally changing how we verify identity. Getting rid, finally, of things like mother's maiden name or just relying on date of birth. Moving towards modern, risk-based methods.
Makes sense.
And completely overhauling recovery processes. If you get locked out of something essential, it shouldn't feel like you've fallen into some bureaucratic black hole.
Amen to that.
We need unified support channels across government, across these industries, with clear ways to escalate things beyond chatbots.
Yeah.
The article also mentions exploring things like verified digital identities, giving users more control, more consent, the ability to revoke access, better than static data points.
That sounds like a step in the right direction. It's interesting, too, the article points out that we actually have some legal rights already under UK GDPR, Article 82.
Yes, that's right. Technically, under Article 82, you can seek compensation for both financial loss and non-material damage, like emotional distress.
But there's always but.
The huge but is that the burden of proof and all the cost of taking legal action falls entirely on the individual.
So practically speaking, it's out of reach for most people.
Pretty much, yeah. Which is why a collective fund or framework is so needed.
Right.
And we also have to remember breaches aren't always just, purely digital hacking from afar. The article brings up the old TK Maxx breach from 2007.
What happened there?
Attackers actually got physical access, posed as engineers, planted devices, siphoned off data for ages. It highlights the complexity.
Wow, so it's not always straightforward.
Not at all. And the discussion also touches on data protection needing to go beyond just ticking compliance boxes. Yes, things like full disk encryption exist.
Yeah.
But often attackers get in via the front door, stolen credentials, software exploits. Once they're inside, if the actual data fields aren't protected,
It's game over.
pretty much. They need better field-level protection, like encrypting individual files inside the filing cabinet, even if someone breaks into the office.
That makes sense.
And finally, it does mention the new Data Use and Access Act from 2025, but notes that it kind of falls short on mandating direct help for victims, unlike some rules emerging in U.S. states or the EU's Digital Services Act, which seem to be moving a bit faster on victim support.
Okay, so bringing this all together as we wrap up this deep dive, the core problem seems pretty stark.
It really is.
Right now, the model is basically you get breached through no fault of your own. You get locked out of things. You might have to pay for your own monitoring. You face rejection for credit. You carry the whole burden.
Yep, proving who you are over and over.
While the company that failed, they pay a fine, maybe to the Treasury, and then, well, they just carry on. And that line from the article just sticks with me. In 2025, telling people, be vigilant isn't a safety net, it's just a shrug.
It's a total shrug. And that's precisely why this call for a proper digital breach restitution framework is so important.
Yeah.
It's about that, but it's also about forcing a review of these outdated identity checks, limiting how long companies can even store things like dates of birth. We need real incentives for companies to build privacy in from the start, and to have proper accountability after a breach, including that direct support.
So for listeners feeling frustrated by this, what can they actually do?
Well, a few things. Firstly, share your story if you've been affected. Raising awareness helps build pressure.
Okay.
Secondly, write to your MP. The article actually mentions there's a template letter available online to support a potential digital breach restitution bill.
Oh, that's useful.
And thirdly, just challenge things. When you're asked for insecure information like mother's maiden name, maybe question why they need it, push back a bit. Advocate for better security yourself.
Good points. Be part of the change.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Because until victims of data breaches get more than just generic advice and that dismissive shrug, we don't really have a digital safety net.
Yeah.
What we have is, frankly, digital neglect. Real reform needs completely new thinking that actually puts the rights, the needs, the reality of breach victims front and center in our digital world.